Montreal is on the verge of doing something big as a new report from Pierre Lebrun at The Athletic highlights that Montreal has pivoted in their plans due to unforeseen circumstances with this offseason's market. And right now, we're going to be doing something very, very interesting. We got to break down what Pierre Lebrun said and Montreal's new likely top targets this offseason. But it's not just that. We got to talk about the young guys. Adam Engstrom has some incredible goals, and Michael Hage has been doing one thing that makes his odds of being an impact NHL player way higher. All that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. And let's start with Michael Hage. Now, this comes from an article from Stu Cowan. Great article, linked down below, from a few days ago. But I wanted to highlight some of the stuff that one of Hage's assistant coaches, Rob Rassi, said at the University of Michigan. Said, I think he's got real top six potential at the NHL level. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but from the potential standpoint, his ceiling is extremely, extremely high. That on its own, incredibly high praise, but it's this here, Jesse. It's hard throughout the course of a hockey season to be able to grow and add muscle, but to see what he's done so far in the 8 weeks in the postseason, still having 8 weeks to go, I think he's going to be a different player next season from a physical standpoint. He looks really good in the gym, and Jesse, for a guy who already could use his size fairly well, though admittedly that was one of those things that we were hoping he'd work on, what kind of better news could you get for a 6'1", 190 player to already be bulking up and using his body more effectively? I'm scared for the NCAA next season.
I mean, the talent's there. You just put a little bit more size in the equation. The way that this guy can get up and down the ice, I just think it's going to be a lethal combination. And we know it. Michael Hage knows it. We heard the MO from Kent Hughes, what he's looking for, getting the size. And it's always a great sign for your organization, Josh, when you got key prospects like Michael Hage buying in even before they're at the NHL level, just really showing that commitment to the team and really kind of putting their money where their mouth is. Like, he is in the gym right now, and I feel like it's just going to make a huge difference in his NCAA year, like building off that point per game plus year that he already had, just being a phenom, the difference player, the player for Michigan, I would have to say. And again, obviously getting the accolades to prove it as well. Big Ten Player of the Year. And you know what, Josh, like, I know we're going to get into this a little bit, but like, these movements has big implications on Hage. And I think, maybe still, even though he's getting that size, maybe get a little bit of buffer for him in the meantime till he's ready. Getting that vet maybe kind of makes sense with that feng shui, to really make him earn it when it's his time there coming forward. So, really looking forward, though, because I feel like this guy is going to be somebody that's going to be a difference maker for the Montreal Canadiens as soon as he steps on the ice for them.
And he seems like the kind of guy that would welcome that challenge of having someone blocking the spot. I'm going to go do it. I mean, look, he was destined to play for the Montreal Canadiens, and he's doing everything he needs to do right now. Michigan Rookie of the Year, like you said, Player of the Year. Like, he was just winning accolades. He's got a lot more CHL players coming to play for Michigan this next year. It's looking to be a better team. Have to imagine Hage is going to be, if not the 1C, like a very, very, he probably is going to be the 1C, like a very, very high up in this lineup with a lot of pressure on him, but good pressure, right? And I'm very excited to see what he can do with this bigger, more physical body. Leave your thoughts on him down below. But one other guy that has bulked up both mentally and physically this year, and it's led to very good performance, is Adam Engstrom. And this comes from Patrick Bexell, and we'll link this down below. Patrick does a lot of great stuff with European Habs prospects, and he met up with Adam Engstrom at the Fromagerie in Angelholm. Best spot for cheese and famous shrimp. Anyway, whatever. But Engstrom looks visibly bigger and a lot more comfortable than in our last meeting. He has grown in more ways than one during his first season in Laval. And want to just get into this here, something Engstrom said, Jesse, because look, we've been so high on Engstrom. I went to watch Laval in the playoffs. This guy was an impact player offensively and defensively every single night. My aim is to get to camp and make it as difficult as possible for the coaches, to make it as good as possible. I don't expect to make the team at that moment, but of course, it's what I want. And if I get to play for Laval, it's not a bad thing. I'll play as hard as I can and work for a call-up down the line. And for a guy that put up the numbers, he did 27 points, Jesse, in 66 games in your first ever season as a defenseman on North American ice. I feel like it's almost unheralded at this point. Watching him be an offensive generator for Laval and also having a lot of really good defensive plays, 6'2", 200 pounds. Like, I know we talk about him a lot. He had such a good training camp last year, but this to me is one of these sneaky guys that could absolutely steal a spot from one of our guys already on the team. And he wants to make it as hard as possible. I bet you he will.
And I'm just hoping we get a chance to see him at camp coming up, because I feel like players like Michael Hage and Adam Engstrom are going to be some of the prospects that teams are looking at the most when they come knocking for the Montreal Canadiens. We know Reinbacher is maybe a little bit untouchable. Mayu, remains to be decided there. But like Engstrom is going to be a guy that a lot of teams are going to be low key interested in if they've been doing their homework. Because I mean, like this is a guy that he's hitting the gym as well. He really realizes what he needs to do. Wants to play a little bit more physically in the playoffs, and we saw him in the playoffs, like him actually step up his game a little bit, as you were able to attest to as well. And we feel like his game kind of got better as the year went on. Like playoffs, it's because he got acclimatized. Like obviously coming over from Europe, he admits there was an adjustment period where it was like not just on the ice, where it's like the smaller ice surface, forechecking players basically in front of you basically every 2 to 3 seconds, but it was also like off the ice where he needed that adjustment as well going forward. So for me, like this is a guy that, I mean, he just jumps off the page at you when you're really looking at these prospects for the Montreal Canadiens, because there's like some low-key, high-end skill that seems dormant there while just being able to check so many other boxes of just really playing the game right. So, I mean, this is going to be an interesting prospect. I mean, I just hope he's ours once training camp comes around.
I sure hope so. And again, like he would be a great trade chip. Not everyone will fit the team in the future, but look, Engstrom, I think, is going to do his job in doing everything that he can to make the Habs decision as difficult as it can be. And I believe it. Like we saw him in the preseason. We see what he's capable of. Let us know your thoughts on Engstrom. Would he be more valuable as a trade piece with our already stacked decor? Or do you actually see him cracking this team next year? Could he surpass a guy like Struble and Xhekaj? I know that's crazy putting it out there. I'm just saying he might just be that good, though far from a guarantee. But final thing, Jesse, like, look, we're looking towards the future. We know that right now. And the 2C plans this offseason, it is still our number one priority. Let's get that straight. I mean, everyone knows that. Every other team knows that. Problem is, it's a lot of teams' number one priority right now, but Montreal has the assets to make it happen. However, reports recently have indicated this is not going to be as easy as we once thought, and this one especially from Pierre Lebrun at The Athletic. Again, this article linked below, he talks about a bunch of teams. Habs GM Kent Hughes is leaving no stone unturned in surveying the forward market, trying to line up potential trade scenarios for the week and perhaps into the summer. Oh, they're on the verge of something big though, Jesse, because the search for a number 2 center might be too hard, so a compromise might be a top 6 winger with pop. Some of those calls Hughes is making are in that direction, and it's something that they weren't shy about in these end of season meetings. Like, look, we want to add depth, but we want to add top end talent as well. Now, there's a bunch of names out there. I've seen Besser's name floated around there. Maybe he's a former 40 goal scorer. Only recently his name's been surfacing, but of course we have guys like, not him. We have JJ Peterka or John Jason Peterka, of course, who's an RFA. He's been linked to a bunch of teams. Even a guy like Isaac Howard. We don't know if he's going to be a top 6 guy, but Hobie Baker winner for this season is not going to be back with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, Jesse, when you read this quote from Pierre Lebrun, this makes me think, like, yeah, I still think 2C is going to happen, but I'm thinking now, instead of just one or the other, I'm thinking both could happen, and I'm ready for some big Kent summer right now, because there are a lot of top 6 wingers, more so than 2C's available, and I think Montreal has probably the best package out there to land one.
That would be wild if we were able to get both. I don't know if a Patrick Laine would be too happy about that, but that's okay. Yeah. We're looking to get to the next wave. Like, I don't know. I may be like a little bit more reserved. I'm like, maybe we'll get one or the other, but I think we need to do one of them. Absolutely. Yes. And I know that like we want like a move to be made here, but like I think we probably will be happy in retrospect if we get a little bit more kind of color on the situation from Kent Hughes of like not just doing a deal to do it, but it's kind of that balancing act right now where it's like, for sure, the long-term vision happens. We don't want to sacrifice all that future success to just make the playoffs this year. That being said, it's not too much to ask to really kind of want your team to capitalize on the great success that they've had and get there. I believe, Josh, that there's a world where we can balance that, those two efforts. If that means maybe adding like a top 6 impact winger, like a guy like Jason Peterka, you've been so big on, Josh. Oh, yeah. Like in my hat, like I want to get you hyped up on this because it's becoming a much more real possibility. And I mean, like we got guys like Evans, Newhook, Kaiden, and Beck. Like even though it's probably not the ideal 2C, having a world where like let's say like a Demidov and a Peterka, and let's say kind of like a Newhook is kind of in the middle of that. It's still not the worst bottom 6. At the same time, we realize how like that centerpiece position is foundational on the ice to just creating so many opportunities. So for sure, that's going to be the go-to here. And that's why Kent's really working the phones as we speak. I think if we're able to find a hybrid solution that still makes sense, what we won't sacrifice is not improving this team this summer. Kent Hughes absolutely knows he needs to do that.
100%. And again, like, I think, yeah, maybe I'm getting overzealous with thinking both could happen, but I still don't think that's an impossibility. Like, but again, I think it'll only happen if the right trade presents itself. I think we've kind of thrown Marco Rossi out the window at this point. I think that's fair enough. We clearly didn't want any of Zegras, and I think no other team did either. So again, that kind of sheds some more light as to like, Kent is, again, not making a move just to make a move. We could have had both of those guys already based on the offers we've heard. Kent didn't want them. We're being picky, slow cooking. That's what we're doing. And I'm very excited to see what's coming next, because again, like a guy like Peterka long-term from Montreal could be fantastic opposite Demidov, right? Like Peterka, a guy who can score some goals, had a really high shooting percentage this year, but the indications it might regress a bit, but I think this guy will be a 30 goal scorer for years, especially with a guy like Demi. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below. This report is crazy. It's just the start of something big for us here, Jesse. But listen, that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We got content coming every single day, all off season long, on the road, doesn't matter. Thank you for tuning in to every single one of them. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.